Hello and welcome to Kelly and Wrighty. Benty is here this week, having stayed up all night to watch Super Bowl. Was it worth it?
In the words of Usher, yeah.
Half-time entertainment at the Super Bowl, but this is full-time coverage of a brilliant weekend of Premier League action. We're concentrating on the real football. Coming up today, Arsenal went from wild celebrations against Liverpool to not celebrating at all as they put 6 past West Ham. Mikel Arteta says the force is with the Gunners in this title race. So how big a message was that to Klopp and Pep?
Arsenal were amazing, but West Ham were woeful as David Moyes blamed his players for how much pressure is the Hammers boss now under.
And Manchester United have blown the race for the Champions League wide open with their late winner Aston Villa. Legend Paul Scholes says United will finish above both Villa and Spurs. We'll discuss.
We've had thrashings, amazing comebacks, stoppage time goals. What a weekend.
Oh, it's all shaping up very nicely for an exciting end to the season. That felt like a huge win for Manchester United at Aston Villa. So they're now just 6 points off fourth place Tottenham, who themselves needed a late goal to beat Brighton. Arsenal have put 6 past West Ham, so that means they're now level with Manchester City on points and significantly goal difference. City are only second on goals scored. Liverpool's home win over Burnley, which was tough going for them, but it keeps them top. And then at the bottom of the table, Sheffield United, it felt like they were all but gone, but they've got just their 3rd win of the season. And importantly, it was against Luton as they go level on points with Burnley and 7 points from safety. So maybe there is a glimmer of hope. Everton still in the relegation zone. Luton are in 17th. Crystal Palace are in 15th and they host 11th place Chelsea tonight. As I said, we're getting into the really exciting part of the season. Probably it's going to start to feel a bit more real when we get past the international break at the end of March. Rachel Corsie is here, Darren Lewis is here to chat through everything with us. And, of course, all the players are going to start to get all of their Africa Cup of Nations players back from... I mean, a few of them have come back not happily because it means they've been knocked out early from the tournament. But the final took place. Ivory Coast won it. It was a home tournament from them. And really, with Sébastien Haller getting the win for them, it was almost the most perfect situation with everything that he's been through with his recovery from cancer. And Simon Adingra of Brighton, their winger, is returning back as champion of Africa, which is just fantastic. We saw the reception that McAllister got when he went back to Brighton with his team at the time, and he came back as a World Cup winner. But what a tournament that... I know it's not really in our remit, but what a tournament it was.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. I mean, I've pretty much watched a load of the games. It's been a nice feel to this tournament as well. I think the coverage has been good. I thought the final was a really, really spectacular game yesterday in terms of Nigeria taking the lead and Ivory Coast coming back. But so many sub-stories as well. You talk about Sébastien Haller as well, who's had a tough time. We all know what he went through. And for him to score the winner in the AFCON final, I mean, he's written his own story there. It was a fantastic tournament and one that people will look back and go, yeah, they were proud to be part of it, because I absolutely love watching it.
Yeah, I mean, he went through that whole journey from 2022 to scoring that winner in the 81st minute in front of a home crowd. It's just the most extraordinary story for him. And it was a tournament that, as you say, just felt full of all those moments. There was late drama, there was all the excitement. Ivory Coast sacked their manager in the group stages because they thought nothing was going to happen. I mean, it was just a fantastic tournament. We could talk loads more about it, but we can't, because we have to get through all the Premier League action. And after being accused of excessive celebration last week for Arsenal and maybe going a little bit early, Declan Rice clearly took that to heart, because when he scored against his old club West Ham, and it was a fantastic finish from him. It was the 6th one, so you could be forgiven for being a little bit low-key. But look, he's gone, I'm not celebrating at all. I think that's a really dignified, thoughtful thing to do, a real sign of a really good human being. Don't you think, Darren?
Yeah, I mean...
Not celebrating against your old side.
Honestly, you know what? Josh, I knew something was going on. I knew it. But I think when you look at this type of scenario compared to honestly, wrong.
Every time you think it's over, you go again with another celebration. There's a story behind that.
I love a good stitch-up in the morning.
Yeah. For me on that one, there is an kind of story to that, because obviously my relationship with Spurs fans. Yeah. But with the Declan Rice one, like, I've scored against Ipswich, the team that I started my career at, and didn't celebrate because there is that respect element there. But I missed that was coming.
Penalty against them earlier in the season as well.
I missed 3 in one season.
Yeah, and then
I took 3 at the Stadium of Light, missed 2, and missed 1 at White Lane.
Yeah. That was tough.
So
a little bit, yeah. You could be forgiven for celebrating under those circumstances. Oh, yeah. Although, to be fair, Wrighty, we often kind of give... we give you a load of goals as well when you come in that you've scored. And to be fair, there was a goal there that you were celebrating, so that's all fine. But look, Arsenal were celebrating, and like rightly so, because when you look at the way, Rachel, that it went after that game against Liverpool, and you think, OK, you can do it against Manchester City at the Emirates, you can do it against Liverpool at the Emirates, you can get those wins. What you need to do now is make sure you follow that up with a really good performance, because I think it was a draw after the City win. And this one it wasn't just a win, it was an emphatic win at the London Stadium, and 6 goals with 5 different goal scorers.
Yeah, and I think just touching on the celebrations, for me, I actually think that's fine, but I think you then have to accept you have to take your medicine. So you choose to celebrate that early, then you need to be ready. If things don't quite continue as they are at the moment, then you've got to be ready that some people might choose to rub that in your face down the line. But, yeah, I think it was a great performance. I think probably people expected it to be a lot tighter than it was, and I think maybe in the early stages of the game it was a little more balanced. I think Arsenal are just hitting a really good bit of form. You can feel the environment and the energy between the players. I think Arteta probably likes to maybe wind people up and fuel that energy probably a little more outwardly. But I think you can sense there's just a good camaraderie amongst the group, and the fact they've got goals coming from different players, you know, Saliba getting, you know, the 2 goals, I think that's really important, because a lot of people have spoken about Arsenal missing a 9, and Jesus, when he's not playing or injured, whatever the reason may be, I think teams probably hone in on that a lot, and probably, you know, a result like that really goes a long way for that group of players.
Do you know what, that performance, I thought was always coming, because you look at the way they played against West Ham a couple of weeks back, and it wasn't the fact that they didn't play badly, they just couldn't take their chances. The moment you score early, or you get that momentum, and that Liverpool game certainly given that last weekend, you knew this result was coming. So it was just a matter of time, and I think the tactical awareness from Arteta to try certain players, Trossard was a masterstroke. I always believe that it wasn't going to continue. That not scoring goals, you got to Martinelli, too good of a player. Saka, these guys are too good of a player to continue for too long. All it took was that one, and that result maybe against Liverpool gave them the confidence. But that one there against West Ham, that was always coming in my eyes, for sure.
And it's interesting, the point that you made about the energy levels, because that was what was really evident in the win against Liverpool, and the calmness that they showed in the beginning of that game with West Ham. I think that was the point about the criticism, was you cannot live at that level of intensity throughout the course of a football season. It's going to exhaust you. At some stage, you're going to burn out. And what they showed was the maturity, maybe from a learning experience from last season. Yeah. At the beginning of that game against West Ham, where they went, we're happy to go steady here because we know we've got it to come.
Absolutely. You showed the table right at the start of the show, and I think that table is the reason why Arsenal celebrated as much as they did last week, because they are fine margins, and so when you come up against a big team, one of the top 2, one of the teams above you, you've got to pull them in. And so to beat them as convincingly as they did, even if it were a slender victory, the fact is they're still in the race. Had they lost, they'd have been out of it, because this time last year, City put together a run that saw them take 43 points from 45 to win the league. They've got that consistency in their locker. Liverpool have got that consistency in theirs, and they've got the firepower up front. They find a way to win. So Arsenal had to win that game, and that gives them the confidence, as you say, to express themselves in this game, because then they can go into it without people saying, lose this one and they're even further behind. Actually, it's lose this one and stay in touch, stay in the race, and that's what they did so superbly well.
Yeah, and it was a really good performance, and you know, we've talked about it overall, but their success from set pieces is unbelievable. You wouldn't necessarily associate this Arsenal side with set pieces. In fact, you'd probably think, come up against the David Moyes side, and West Ham will be able to defend the set pieces better than Arsenal can execute them. It's not the case in that game, and it hasn't been the case all season. They've scored 16 goals from set pieces.
It's clearly something they've worked on, because, as you said there, Kels, there was a period for Arsenal where they were putting the ball in the box, but I don't think there was any real conviction to get on the end of it. It was just putting it in for the sake of winning a corner. But you can quite clearly see now, every single time there's a set play, whether it be a free kick or a corner, there's a plan towards it, and there's no reason why Gabriel, you can quite clearly see the connection he's got. Saliba, they've now got guys that want to go and head the ball in. It's a weapon at the end of the day. Set plays are so vital to this modern day football, where they separate the little results, the fine margins, and Arsenal have been fantastic.
I think that is a really key point. There's a lot about the organisation of this team, and that is so important. They've actually got a set-piece coach. You see him take centre stage in the technical area, and Arteta step back a bit, and he says, the floor is yours, and he's earning his money. When you see those numbers, he's earning his money. They've got the best defensive record in the Premier League as well. There is organisation about these teams. They haven't got the fluidity of City or the spectacular attack that Liverpool have. But that organisation, those 1-0s and clean sheets, that's what wins you titles. And that's why they've got such a good chance, even though they don't have that firepower.
Yeah, getting the 1-0 win from a 0-0 situation is huge, but also to score 6, go level on goal difference with City, only 1 behind Liverpool on goal difference. When we talk about fine margins, that could prove crucial come the end of the season. But even when we talk about whether or not Arsenal are missing a centre forward, and you score 6 goals with 5 different goal scorers, and you think, maybe they're not. But, you know, you look at that, the fact that they are so effective from set pieces, that's one very good way of counteracting that if it is a weakness.
Yeah, it is. I think one thing they've done as well is I think Declan Rice now is the key, or the main person who takes a lot of set pieces, and I think that's something where when you do a set piece, I know playing in teams, like a lot of the times there's people who are like, I take the set pieces. Like, you know, and you kind of think it's awkward. I'm not going to take on that debate today. I'm just going to let them take them. But now I think when you have a set piece coach, it becomes there's certain types of deliveries. So it doesn't matter if as a player you think, well, I always take them. It's a case of, can you deliver in this area? And if you can, yeah, you can take them. Or if we want this type of delivery, it's going to be this type of player. If we want in-swinger, out-swinger, all these things now make a difference, and it's enough to, you know, whether you take them or not, you have to be able to do that consistently. And I think that obviously is a change they've made towards kind of the mid to second part of this season that went in so far, and it's starting to have the rewards.
Yeah, I think we saw that most clearly in Gabriel's goal, where he went over and he talked to Declan Rice beforehand and said, that's where I want the ball. And it was absolutely perfect. And playing with someone who could do that for you must be incredible.
Well, yeah, I mean, you look at on the flip side, West Ham have probably got the best at doing that in James Ward-Prowse, because he puts it exactly where they want it and they go and attack it. But
He's still not scored a direct free kick for West Ham.
It's crazy.
Every time I get the opportunity, I mention that, because it just seems bizarre to me. And that aside.
But no, yeah, for Declan Rice as well, to have that conversation and to find someone who's got that quality to put it in there, I mean, that's half the battle. I mean, it's all well and good you work throughout the week in doing these set plays, and it can be boring as a player. I'm sure it's so boring. But when you look at the hunger and desire that Arsenal show to do it, you need someone who's going to be able to pull it where you want it. All that Gabriel and that have got to do is put their head on it. And this ball here, this is a fantastic cross, by the way.
And that's the thing, you know, like Rice, he has all of that hyper anim and the vanilla ice stuff, but they do stop, collaborate and listen.
Yay! Thanks for coming, Darren. You don't need to say another word today. Don't do that. Last time you really did.
I really did, absolutely. Sorry, I couldn't hold that one.
No, that's perfect. I just want to take a moment to enjoy that one. But you know, but you're right. He does have that effect from set pieces, but he also, it seems to be very able to control that tempo from midfield. It's a Chris Waddle term that I was using there. He's obsessed with the tempo of the game, but he seems to be able to control the tempo of the game from midfield in a way that maybe Arsenal at times couldn't. And when we talk about the calm that they showed, he's a big part of that.
And I remember there was a point at which Thomas Partey was that man who could do that, but his injury record was such that he just wasn't available for long periods of time, and that hurt Arsenal a great deal. Rice's injury record is outstanding, and I would imagine when they did all of their homework around whether or not they should buy him, that would have been a big reason why, a sort of plus, if you like, why they should get him in. He is so versatile, he is so fit, his engine runs forever. But that delivery, when you add all of that to the delivery that he's able to put inside the box, and as you watch that delivery coming in, the first man goes, and actually Gabriel comes from behind him to beat the offside trap. They've clearly worked on that time and again, as you were saying before. When you have that set-piece coach, well, you can probably articulate it far better than I can.
Yeah, I think it's something that you see that they do spend a lot of time working on. I think, just going back to Rice, I probably appreciate a lot of his traits, but maybe not so much the delivery part, because so much of what he contributes, you know, is just that engine, the midfield control and everything, the tackle he brings. I think probably working under Arteta, he's working under someone who's so obsessed with the details. I actually think he's only going to, you know, I think he's still got another 10, 20, maybe 30% still to come of his best football. And the fact he can contribute to the set pieces, and I think it is going to become, I don't think all teams necessarily have someone will do the set pieces every week. I don't know that every club has someone specifically as their only role, but I think it's going to become more and more important, because as the margins get squeezed even more, as the game continues to develop, it is going to become more and more.
Well, Arteta's got to find a way, hasn't he, of kind of closing that gap, because as you were saying there, Daz, is that Manchester City can blow teams away. They've got De Bruyne, Haaland, Alvarez. Liverpool with the firepower they've got. Salah's been injured and they're still scoring goals for fun. Arsenal haven't got that in terms of numbers, so they need to find a way now of bridging that gap a little bit more. So if they can be better on set plays, score most from set plays, get more goals from defenders, that's going to help bridge that gap as well.
And especially as we get to this stage of the season, where now we've got Champions League starting to come back into the picture, and so it's going to come down to maybe who's playing later in the weekend, who's dealing with the pressure of that, who's dealing with the teams pulling further away. But as things stand, it's such a close title race. There's only 2 points between the top three. It's not been that close for 10 years, and it's all still to play for, with 14 games, I think 15 games still to go for Manchester City, 14 games for the other teams in the title race, and it's as close as it has been in a decade. And that's nice at this stage. That's a writer's dream, isn't it?
It's an absolute dream for us, because I think the drama that encapsulates, it's almost Groundhog Day to last year, because obviously Arsenal had that lead, what was that, 8 points clear around about
there
this
it is,
stage
exactly
last
there,
year.
8 points.
Thank you very much. And then, of course, you've got Liverpool. Can they, in Jurgen Klopp's final season, provide him with the dream ending? So all of the subplots are there. Arsenal, the bridesmaids so often, but you talked about the organisation, you know, and that is presumably going to be the one thing, because when we looked at that set-piece graphic and we saw Everton was second, it wasn't that City or Liverpool was second, it was Everton that was second, and I just think they are finding ways to bridge the gap. So all three teams have their mythology, if you like, around them. For us, it's fantastic, and I would